Welcome to Hero Club.
I'm Nick Williams.
And I'm George Primavera.
George and I started playing Dungeons & Dragons with our buddies in college, and we haven't stopped since. Even when we lived on opposite coasts, I would Skype in George on the TV in the living room of my apartment,
while I would DM from the floor of my bathroom so as not to wake up my roommate. When I finally came out to Los Angeles, we started playing with our friends right away.
And when we'd inevitably tell other people about the ultimate betrayals and daring heroics that happened in our games, we realized that they were just hearing a jumbled mess instead of the cinematic blockbuster memories that were in our heads. We wanted to show people how fun and immersive D&D can be, especially those who had never played.
And to do that, we record a full game like normal around the table and then painstakingly cut it down from 4 hours to a clean, math-free episode, so you can experience our memories the way we do.
Just like in a real game, nothing is ever written or planned out ahead of time with the players. The only things we add are music and sound effects.
I am the Dungeon Master. I build the world and the framework for an adventure. The players, like Nick, must then journey through the obstacles I set before them, rolling a 20-sided die and adding character-specific bonuses to see if they succeed. If they beat the number I have in my head, then their action is successful. If not, it is a failure, and there may be consequences. We try to follow the rules of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition as close as we can, but as the Dungeon Master, what I say goes, and there are some things I like to do differently.
Each season is its own contained story, so find one that sounds interesting to you and start from the top. And hey,
welcome to the club. This week, our guest on the podcast is Natasha Krause. Natasha, anything you want to say to the people?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at ChampagneTashi with an I. I also have a monthly show at UCB Franklin that's on the first Tuesday at 11 p.m. called we're changing the name. Called Send In My Clowns. It's super fun, super weird, and I also teach workshops around LA. So that's it.
We had made it out of Rikers prison with our heads, which is more than I can say for old Soapy Eyes. But we found ourselves with twice as many questions as when we went in. Who or what could get in and out of that cell like that without anyone seeing? And that music that turned all the inmates purple-eyed. Could that be Marblemouth? But we saw him die. These questions and many more were eating at me, but not as much as my need for a stiff drink. Chuck going on about his social life was driving me up the wall. Everyone I had ever cared about had taken an early curtain call except for Chuck, so to say I wasn't really a people person is the understatement of the century. He should have known that.
Hero Club presents Paid Back in Spades, a Hank Blackstone mystery. Chapter 2. The Fire Eater.
Sergeant Dick McCoy pulls his Plymouth up in front of Dante's Inferno at 1 a.m. Hank and Charlie have just finished recounting the events of the evening, but Dick seems like he's in a reverie, barely listening.
I'm sorry, fellas. Just can you give it to me one more time?
Look, we know it's a lot to take in, but maybe this'll come for you. We are just as confused as you are.
That does not comfort me. In any way.
Oh, I thought it was one of those we're all in the same boat kind of deals.
No, it's one of those I'm drowning and I need a life preserver situations.
Let me run it for you one more time, Dick. Soapy Eyes' cellmate, Ike, showed us his cell. Soapy Eyes had left us this prism. Hank reaches into his overcoat and pulls out the Celtic runed prism. We investigated the cell and found a lot of metallic dust everywhere, including the bars. We followed that trail down to the morgue, got our peepers on Soapy Eyes' corpse, way more metallic dust on the corpse.
And then we pulled the coin out of his neck hole. I don't know if we mentioned that it was out of his neck hole, but I think we should probably tell you that as well, right?
Yeah, you could skip that part.
Okay, so out of the neck hole, we find a
coin with a horse on it. Here, Hank produces the large gold coin and flicks it over to Dick McCoy.
He catches it in one hand and examines it.
Oh man, a lot of Irish guys have coins like these.
That's what Ike was saying. What do you know about that?
Just a couple of guys we brought in have had them, we confiscate them, we give them back to them when they're done.
Do they all look like that, or do they have their own symbolism on them?
I don't remember seeing one with a horse, guys.
I mean, Ike did say that not all the coins have horses on them.
Yeah.
Mostly crosses, shamrocks, Irish shit.
Hank takes the coin back and looks at it again. Well, this must be our guy's specific calling card then.
Seems like it.
Well, anyway, when the prison break started, we heard a loud musical note. All the cell doors opened, the prisoners rushed outside, and then we heard that same note again, and all of them went purple-eyed and filed down the sewer.
So when they went purple-eyed, what do you mean? Like their eyes turned purple?
Yes.
And they went stock still, like zombies, Dick. We've only seen that one other time. That was with Marblemouth.
No, guys, Marblemouth's dead.
I don't know what to tell you. It sounded like music. Violin music.
You guys told me he got his face blown off from a grenade.
Dick, if there's one thing I've learned, it's that the dead don't always stay that way. Anyway, what we need you to do is lay low, keep this all under your hat, and if you can track down where Big Mick and those other Irish Connected guys went, let us know.
I'll put out an APB, sure thing. Man, Italian mob bosses coming back from the dead. This might be the craziest thing yet.
Dick catches himself in a bit of a smile, but then realizes the gravity of his situation.
Oh man. If anybody finds out that I was anywhere near Rikers when all this happened, I'm done for. I'm going to jail.
That's why we need you to lay low. Remember, don't mention any of this to anyone. You don't know who's talking to who.
Right. Okay. So I was sick. I couldn't come to work that night because I was sick. What would I go with? Throwing up? Or...
I don't know, you could say you got mugged. I mean, it's a little embarrassing, but...
Well, it's very embarrassing.
But what self-respecting sergeant of the NYPD would willingly admit that unless it was true?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, fellas, I'll see you tomorrow.
I mean, if it's any consolation, you can just tell him I was way bigger and stronger than you.
Oh, I'll be sure to mention that.
Like, way bigger.
Okay.
You have no idea how much stronger.
All right, I got it. I'm proud.
I mean, look at me and you.
I have a decent idea.
Give them the vague description of me. Very vague.
Hey, we're here.
Okay. We love you, Dick.
Hank and Charlie pop out of the car, but before Hank can get out, Dick tries to grab at his shoulder.
Hey, wait, Hank, 1 second.
Yeah, what is it, Dick?
Are you okay, man?
Yeah, what do you mean?
I didn't want to say anything in front of your friend, but you smell like booze.
Yeah, it's no problem, Dick. I just, skipped laundry day this week.
All right, well, you know, if you want to talk, I'm good at not saying anything, you know?
No, I'm good, Dick. You, get home safe now.
Okay, well...
Hank closes the door and walks away from the car.
The Plymouth hangs out for a moment and then slowly rolls away. Hank and Charlie make their way into the foyer of their apartment building, walk down the marble hallway, and get into the old rickety elevator.
Let's go to the penthouse, Ernie.
Without a sound, a lever automatically starts cranking, the doors close, and the elevator begins to ascend.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 8, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. Yeah, that was good. You know, it was a challenge for once. I feel like we've gotten a little too good at these lately.
Good? Were you there, Chuck? This has been one of the longest nights of my life.
No, not good as in a positive experience. I mean, it was very horrifying. You were there. I watched one of my friends lose his consciousness in front of my eyes. I'm just saying...
That's another thing, Chuck. Friend? I mean, come on with that. You just met the guy. He's a goddamn inmate in a prison, Chuck. You barely know him, and you're considering him your friend?
What, I'm just supposed to judge the guy because he's in prison? Hank, look, I know you're not a people person, but...
The elevator doors open.
Just because my standards are a little higher than yours for friends doesn't mean I'm not a people person.
Well, now that I'm going out into the outside world a little bit more, I've noticed that, you know, people I bring around you, people I want to introduce to my best friend, you got a little bit of an issue with them. You get prickly.
Will you ever consider that I never asked you to bring anyone else around? Maybe I don't want to meet new people, Chuck.
Hank and Charlie enter Dante's Inferno.
Let's just table this for now and figure out what the hell's going on with this prism.
Table this? You can table a conversation?
I mean, hit the brakes on it, Chuck. I'm sick and tired of this conversation, okay? Come on. Hank takes off his hat and hangs it on a coat rack, along with his large wool overcoat.
Charlie takes off his glasses of disguise, revealing his true rock golem form.
The two stand and face each other, a little quiet, feeling a little bit vulnerable and a little bit awkward.
Why don't you hit the books and try to figure out what's going on with this coin? I'll try to identify this prism with Dante's scanner device.
I'll go back to what I do best, the books.
Hank walks away from Chuck, pulling a cigarette out of a pack and lighting it as he does, heading towards the back of the shop to a large metal vault door where they keep their most volatile magic items.
The doors swing open with a little hiss, and Hank steps forward into a cold, sterile room. Scattered along the walls are thick glass cases, each of which contains a magic item of very different design. One contains a bow tie that dangles from a little coat hanger. Another contains a pack of cards with intricate inscriptions, Alvira's deck, the deck that Hank pulled the Jack of Hearts from to create Charlie. On the other side, a thick, black leather tome with a little silver skull sitting on the cover. And finally, at the end of the room, with several books laid out with cursive titles in Dante's handwriting, is a black scale about the size of a dinner plate and with 2 candle holders with dark black candles. A red pack of matches sits next to it.
Hank shuts the vault door tight behind him, and once he's sure he's alone, he pulls out a flask from his inner coat pocket. Prickly, I'll show him prickly. Hank walks towards the scale in the back of the room, strikes a match, and lights both candles.
A little bit of smoke begins to billow from each candle as the flames begin to melt the wax. Soon, the smoke gathers up in a little ball above the apparatus, but has no shape to it.
Hank pulls the prism from his pocket and places it delicately on the scale.
Immediately, the smoke begins to change shape.
Hank quickly flips open Dante's cipher on the desk and deciphers what the smoke is saying.
The biggest symbol that is the most obvious in the smoke, Hank identifies rather quickly, delineating the school of magic that the item is related to.
Transmutation?
And then, analyzing the smaller smoke patterns that have begun to careen off in neat little squiggly lines, Hank determines more about the object, seemingly linking patterns in the notebook with words, keywords that determine the item's purpose.
As he deciphers these, Hank writes them all down in his notebook. Light, conversion, spectrum, power, replenish, partner. Interesting. Okay.
Hank, make an Arcana check.
16. Looks like some sort of recharging device. I guess it's just one piece of the puzzle. Hank takes a long drag of his cigarette and ashes it over the cipher.
Hank hears a shout from Charlie in the library.
Hank, come in here. I found something.
Hank collects up his notebook, puts out his cigarette, and heads out the vault, towards the library.
All right, this is from Celtic Symbology by Dr. Frank Aldous. Golden coins were used in Ireland as far back as history is recorded to identify secret societies within Ireland's criminal underworld. Borrowing symbols from crosses, spirituality, the harp, nationalism. British ordered all harps burned and harpists executed in the 16th century. That's very interesting. The Daranot, strength. The shamrock, luck and chance. And the mare, victory at war. A mare's a horse. You know.
Yeah, no, of course.
Right. The mare's use stopped around the 18th century after the organization using the symbol, the Dullahans, were all massacred as a result of a treaty between the other organizations. This coin represents an organization that hasn't been seen since the 18th century.
Holy shit.
Looks like we got ourselves a Dullahan, whatever that means.
Both of you make a religion check.
10.
3.
Hank, you feel like maybe you've heard Dullahan somewhere before.
Dullahan rings a bell, but I can't quite figure out why.
Maybe it's the name of, whiskey?
Oh, what, because that's all I know? Is whiskey brands?
No, you're very knowledgeable about alcohol and beers and hops and such.
Hank, make a history check with advantage.
18.
You do remember an alcohol branded after Dullahan. On the bottle's label is a headless horseman holding up a cask of ale.
Oh, goddammit, you're right. There was an Irish whiskey I had a while back. Had a headless horseman on it.
Charlie, make a history check with advantage.
24. Wait a minute. I remember I was at the library. I was helping my friend, Millie, set up our new cultural section. And there was this old children's book filled with Irish folklore, and there was a headless horseman on it with the word Dullahan. That thing must be 400 years old. And we got it in the library. Isn't that just the bee's knees?
Great, so let's head over there.
Oh, what time is it?
Hank checks his pocket watch. Well, it's just about 2.
I don't know how Millie would feel about me going in there after hours. I don't know, Hank.
But you got the keys, right?
Yeah, but out of respect for the institution and Millie, I just feel like maybe we should wait till the morning.
Chuck, there's a man dead here. Don't you want to solve this man's murder?
Right, but we can have a night of sleep and just wait for her. I don't know. I just don't feel too comfortable. I'm just getting to know everybody. I mean, I've known them for a while, but I don't want to step out of bounds and have everyone not like me.
Chuck, it would mean a lot to me if we went now.
Okay, I see your point. As long as we're quick, I guess we can go.
That's all I ask. We'll be in and out of there lickety-split.
No one can know we were there, all right?
Who am I gonna tell? I'm prickly, remember?
Yeah. Sorry about that, Hank.
It's water under the bridge, Chuck. Let's just get into that library and find that book. Hank goes and puts on his coat and hat.
Charlie puts on his glasses of disguise again.
And his human form resumes.
You know what, Chuck? Can you bring the car around? I just remembered I wanted to put the dark hat into the big vault. I just don't think it's safe out here on the main floor.
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna cop a breeze.
I'll be right down. Hank holds at the door, waiting to hear the chime of the elevator going down.
Eventually he does.
He scoops up the dark hat and walks back to the vault, casually discarding it the second he gets in, and heading straight for the leather-bound tome.
Fiddling with a little padlock on the front of the case, Hank eventually swings it open and opens the leather tome with the skull sitting on top of the cover. As he flips through the pages, there's a low hum in the air, and the hair on the back of Hank's neck stands up. Hank, make a wisdom save.
6.
Hank, your vision begins to change, and as you keep flipping through the pages, colors begin to melt away from your vision. Soon, the color blue is no more, and then green is gone, and then red, and then yellow, and so on, until your vision is completely in grayscale. Flipping through some of the pages, there are very disturbing illustrations, one of which is several men represented in a stick figure glyph-like writing, with strings that ascend to the ceiling, and above which is a very heavily notated, circled, and highlighted passage. And it reads, "The feeble spirit ensnared. Strings may support bone and meat for the better purpose."
I don't know if it was Marblemouth doing the pulling, but someone's got a hold of those strings. I gotta find out who.
Hank closes the book, seals the case back up, and walks out of the vault room. His vision does not return. He continues to see in black and white.
Hank squints and rubs his eyes a little bit, takes another hard swig from his flask, and heads downstairs.
Hank, as you walk through the dark hallway downstairs, as you hop off of the elevator, you find that you can see a little better in the dark than you could before. Everything lies out before you in grayscale, and you're able to determine objects that should be completely obscured by shadow. Just a small plant in the corner.
This has happened to Hank in the past, so it doesn't bother him too much. Usually, it's gone back to normal in a day or two.
And Hank exits the building where Charlie is waiting with the car.
Hey, duck butt, wanna go for pinks? I'm just kidding around. It's me, Charlie.
Hank rolls his eyes and pops his collar against the cold February wind and hops in the passenger seat of the car.
And the car heads uptown. It takes about 20 minutes as traffic is pretty light at this hour, and Charlie finds a place to park the car just outside the New York Public Library. A little stroke of luck.
Okay, in and out, right?
In and out.
They hop out of the car and head up the steps.
Okay, okay, here we go. Charlie opens up the door very, very gingerly.
It creaks loudly in the big echoey chamber.
And Charlie leads Hank up to the culture section where he saw the book.
Their footsteps echo on the hard floor as they make their way up the stairs and through the building. And as they reach the culture section, delineated by different nationalities, an African section, an Italian section, a Russian section, and an Irish section, both of you make a perception check.
17.
23.
Both of you hear a very quiet snore. There's somebody in this room.
Oh no, somebody's in here. I'm not supposed to be here. Wait, is that another person who's not supposed to be here? Or is that a person who's supposed to be here?
I don't know, Chuck. You work here. I've never been in here before.
Yeah, but sometimes vagrants come in, they set up a little bed for themselves.
And you were worried about getting caught here after hours? Vagrants can just come and sleep in here, and you were worried? You work here.
I have a reputation here, Hank. All right, let's find the book and get out quick.
Creeping over to the Irish section, you see the silhouette of a slumped figure at one of the tables, with several books laid out in front and a cup on top of a saucer. Upon a quick look, the person is clearly female and appears to be deep asleep.
Oh no, Hank, that's Millie. That's the one person that can't see me in here, Hank. We gotta go. I can't be here.
Hank grabs Chuck's arm before he can leave. You promised me that we could get this book. Now let's get the book.
And you promised me that nobody would see me in here.
Well, that's out of my control, Chuck. I said in and out. I didn't say no one would be here.
Hank, I come here every day. I can't risk somebody thinking I'm a thief or a vagrant or a lowlife.
Both of you make a stealth check.
11.
26.
As Charlie is backing up out of the room, indignant, he knocks into a table, causing it to bump loudly, and shocks Millie awake.
Oh no, the French literature!
Charlie, I was just catching up on some reading. What are you doing here?
Oh, sorry, Millie. I didn't mean to wake you up. I realized I forgot my shoes, and I was just coming back to get them with my friend who is. Charlie looks around the room and cannot find Hank.
Hank is gone.
Not here, actually. I thought he was. You know how sometimes you think your friends are with you and then they're not with you?
Charlie, you could always come back in the morning to get your shoes. It's really late.
Yeah, so I know. It's just the funny thing about that is I was halfway home and then I realized, I'm barefoot. And, I was halfway there, so I didn't know if I should walk home and then in the morning go get the shoes.
Sure.
And then, or go back, get the shoes, and then walk the full way home.
That makes sense.
With the shoes.
Yeah. Charlie, I thought you worked 2 days ago.
Right, yeah, where I live, it's about a 2-day journey by foot. It's a deep Jersey.
Roll a deception check with disadvantage.
15.
Millie looks dubious, but decides not to press.
Oh yeah, Jersey. I forgot.
Yeah, anyway, let me get out of your hair. I found my shoes, and I'll just be going now. Sorry to disturb you. Charlie takes a step towards the door, then returns. Wait, what are you doing here so late?
Oh, me? I was just catching up on some reading, and she nervously closes a geology book.
What were you reading up on, if I may be so bold to ask?
Yeah, and Millie furiously blushes. It's an American Geological Railway Guide by James McFarlane. It's a book from 1890. It's something new that we got in. Sometimes I just get excited and I have a cup of tea and I forget. Yeah, so...
Geology, that sounds really interesting. Do you mind if I take a look?
Sure, yeah. Here. And she gives the book to Charlie.
Wow, there's 3 whole chapters on igneous in here, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of a special book. The first line says, for those who are not geologists, which I think is a really lovely thing. It shares geology with those who wouldn't necessarily look into it.
Well, I think that's perfect for me. I mean, I'm no geologist, but I fancy myself a rock enthusiast.
Me too. Great. And Millie clumsily snatches the book out of his hands. Well, okay. So good to see you. I hope you found your shoes.
Yes, they are on... yes.
Hank, standing upside down on the ceiling, thanks to his Nath Weave brogues that allow him to stick to any surface, rubs his ring of minor illusion, and a loud knock comes from downstairs, by the front door, as if someone's trying to get in.
Were you expecting somebody, Millie?
No, it's... what, 3 a.m. now? Charlie, give me a moment. I'm gonna go check who's at the door.
Okay. This library is getting pretty crowded, right? You're already gone.
As soon as Millie leaves the floor, Hank drops to the ground.
Make a stealth check.
30.
His descent is silent.
Nice job ditching the lady, Chuck. Now let's get that book and get out of here.
All right, let me just take a look. Dullahan.
Charlie finds the book.
Got it. This is it.
Charlie begins flipping the pages open. They're very thin, very smelly, and very delicate. On the front page of one of the short stories in the big book, a headless horseman's image is emblazoned across the top.
This is it.
Hank quickly takes out his notebook and draws a rough sketch of the Headless Horseman.
It's a very, very short poem with illustrations accompanying each line.
Charlie reads it.
And Hank jots the words down as he does.
When sun has set, the man will rise, and where he stops, a mortal dies.
The image on the page is the Headless Horseman from before, rearing on a black mare along a cobblestone bridge. Charlie turns the page.
Clad in all black, without his head, a spoken name will have ye dead.
Just a man's screaming face on this next page. Hands to his cheeks, eyes aghast.
Well, I don't like that.
Just keep going, Chuck.
Okay. None outrun the man's black steed, a beast of rage and grief indeed. This is for kids?
The black horse's nostrils blow out steam into the night air. This particular image is especially well drawn.
A golden crown will leave ye saved, as murder must be duly swayed.
The next image, golden coins scattered on cobblestone.
Hank, look! Coins!
And the last page, all in black, with golden cursive lettering.
Lest the man be truly paid in blood. So the man has to be paid in blood so that all this murder doesn't happen?
Or you can pass the buck with a golden crown. That must be why all those Irish guys have those coins.
Wait, clad in all black without his head. Soapy Eyes was headless at the prison.
Yeah, Chuck, that's an obvious connection.
All right, I'm just saying, it's lining up a lot more than an old book would usually. I'm just saying it's fascinating.
Well, if it's anything like Sleepy Hollow, Headless Horsemen take heads, Chuck. And if we're looking for some sort of spectral Headless Horseman, that would explain the metallic dust on the bars. Whatever it was passed right through.
Yeah. Okay. We should probably get out of here, right?
I've got it all down in my book. Let's scram.
You scram. You're not supposed to be here. I told her you were imaginary.
Both of you make a perception check.
22.
14.
Hank hears footsteps coming back into the hallway.
All right, Chuck, I'll meet you outside.
Go!
Hank disappears into the shadows and out of a window.
And Millie appears in the doorway.
Well, it's the strangest thing. No one was there. You heard a knock, didn't you, Charlie?
I did. I very much did. Nobody was there?
Millie wraps herself in her shawl and gathers her book in a teacup. Well, Charlie, are you working tomorrow?
Yeah, I should be here bright and early. After my commute from Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah, can I walk you... escort you... walk you out the door? Yeah, we're both leaving. Also, I'm gonna check this very terrifying children's book out for the night, if that's okay.
Yes, that's okay, Charlie.
The two walk back through the library to the front doors. The doors swing open. Even at 2:30 in the morning, the city is making plenty of noise, and they descend the steps. Before Millie turns down the sidewalk, though, she hesitates and turns back to Charlie.
Oh, Charlie?
Yeah?
Happy Valentine's Day.
Is that today? Wow. How does time fly? Happy Valentine's Day to you too.
Millie begins to walk away. Charlie locks the doors up and then looks after Millie.
Hey, Millie.
Yes?
Charlie thinks about asking her out for some sort of Valentine's Day date, but can't quite muster up the courage. You take care. Get home safe.
You too, Charlie. Be safe in Jersey.
You rock. You know, like geology.
You rock too, Charlie.
Yes. Oh, she has no idea.
And Millie walks away, looking back over her shoulder just before she rounds the corner.
Coming down from his perched position on the outer wall of the library, Hank walks down, completely parallel to the ground, and steps off the wall onto the concrete next to Chuck. You rock.
It was a geology reference. She's a geologist and she uses the library for research, so I thought it'd be funny if I said something like rock around the clock. You know, it's like wordplay.
So, Yeah, have you told her about, the fact
The fact that I am rocks? No, I haven't told her that yet. Why would I? I mean, you're the only person that knows at this point.
So isn't that going to get a little complicated?
What do you mean, that?
There's a gigantic explosion 3 blocks up the street.
What the hell?
A bright light from about a quarter of a mile away begins to illuminate a part of the city. Smoke billows up towards the sky, mixing with the dark, roiling clouds above.
Oh no, looks like flight night all over again.
Come on. Hank starts sprinting towards the explosion, pulling his revolver as he does.
Hank and Charlie plow through Midtown, shoving people aside as they rip through the crowd.
Sorry.
Hey, out of my way.
Sorry, excuse me.
Get out of my way.
Sorry
Back
about
off,
that.
guy. You watch it.
Sorry.
Pal.
Sorry about him.
Finally, they come upon the scene of a bombed-out building. Chairs and tables strewn across the street, papers, garbage cans, and debris covering everything, including all the cars parked on either side of the street. And a few random men are stumbling out covered in dust, some of them nursing injuries and limping, others crawling out. A neon sign flickers, partially destroyed. It reads O'Connor's Pub. Hank, Charlie, make perception checks.
18.
12.
Whoa, is that Shay from the prison? Hey, Shay, over here, it's me, Charlie.
He turns to look at you both, and just before he can wave his hand in a surprised hello, there's another explosion. An absolute ball of fire fires out from the building, seemingly coming up from underground, and sends every single man standing in proximity flying. Both of you make dexterity saves.
11.
19.
Hank, feeling the temperature in the air rise a little bit before the explosion, takes shelter behind a car and avoids most of the blast, though several pieces of debris smack him on the head, dealing 16 damage, bringing him down to 62 points of health. Charlie takes a full blast, taking 39 damage, bringing him down to 96 points of health.
Oh shit.
Several of the men lay very still on the street, Shay among them, face down.
Chuck, you okay? Chuck!
Yeah, I'm fine, just got a little singed.
Good. What the hell was that?
Suddenly, 3 men stumbling, covered in soot, lurch out of the building, coughing hard.
Son of a bitch, they're gonna cut your fucking head off!
Millie, get your head about you, boy, come on.
Don't fucking kill you!
Ah, shite, get after him, Mick.
Nah, Uncle Jack, I just can't leave you.
I'll be fine, just go.
Fuck.
Big Mick takes off down the street, but before he can pass Charlie and Hank, he trips, landing at Hank's feet, who is still ducking behind the car. He finally clears a little bit of the ash from his eyes and realizes who it is.
Damn it.
Hiya, Big Mick.
Hell of a night, boys.
Charlie, covered in dust, also strolls over.
What the hell happened in there?
Man appeared out of nowhere with a long-ass fucking knife. Slit Tommy cut his head clean off. Blew some fucking dust right in everyone's face and disappeared into thin air. Then all hell fucking broke loose. Goddamn giant monster started blowing fire everywhere. Just run, boys.
Big Mick scrambles to his feet and grabs Charlie by the collar.
We got out of one bad spot, Charlie. Don't go in there. Don't go in there.
Okay, whatever you say, Mick.
Mick, was it a Dullahan?
What's that lapdog? What? Fairy tales? We're doing fairy tales now. Is that it? Or do I know a fucking headless horseman? No.
You don't have to be a dick about it. You just told me a giant monster came out of nowhere and someone cut your friend's head off.
Look, lapdog, I believe in the things that I can see, and I didn't see no headless horseman. I didn't see no Dullahan. I saw a giant fire lizard or something, and he went down into the cellars, okay?
You saw a giant fire lizard that went down into the cellars?
Yeah, can we go?
Listen, Big Mick, me and my associate here, we're from a very specific line of work that tends to check out these kind of things. Maybe you should run and we should go ahead.
Hank, you feel the temperature rise again.
Both of you get down now!
Everybody, make a dexterity save with advantage.
20.
22.
19.
All 3 duck behind the car, only taking 5 damage apiece as a little bit of debris hits them in the head.
Get out of here, Mick. We got this covered. There's been enough bloodshed tonight.
All right, lapdog, we agree on one fucking thing, okay? One fucking thing. You get one. Billy, come back!
And Big Mick beats it down the street.
Hank pulls his scarf up from around his neck and wraps it around his face to block out the smoke and heads towards the bombed-out bar. Come on, Chuck. Fire lizard.
Okay. Bye, Mick. Oh, he's already gone. Everybody's already gone.
Hank and Charlie, wandering into the bombed-out remains of the bar, immediately notice a few bodies that have been flung to the side in both explosions. Some are burned to a crisp. It's a grisly scene, and lots of smoke gathers up in the ceiling, slowly leaking out into the New York City air. Towards the back of the bar, there's a wooden door frame, the door of which has of course been blasted off its hinges. It's especially dark in this back room. Hank can see rather easily, everything laid out in grayscale. Charlie has a little bit more trouble.
Ugh, I can't see nothing in here.
Gah, me neither. Hank pulls out his Zippo lighter and lights it.
It casts a little meager light, but enough for Hank to at least pretend that that's the reason he's seeing what he's seeing. And before him is a long oak table with several chairs blasted against the walls, presumably previously set up around the table. A few more bodies lay in this area, but these bodies, while also burned, seem to have been torn asunder. Both of you make a nature check.
6.
11.
Both of you are unable to determine what exactly could have ripped these bodies apart. But as you look at the head of the table, one of the chairs is completely upright, and there's a body sitting in it, untouched, except for the fact that its head is missing.
Turning his collar up towards the heat, Hank goes to investigate the corpse.
It's hard to glean much in this chaotic and dirty environment. Roll an investigation check with disadvantage.
27.
Hank notices the abundance of powder, the same powder that he found in the prison, around the neck of the victim and all over the table, which has almost seamlessly mixed with the ash from the fire that now burns around you. Checking the pockets of the man, you find an identification. Tom Cutter. Hank, make a history check with advantage.
Nat 20.
Tom Cutter, the head of the Cutter family, a very powerful Irish mob faction.
Holy shit, that's Tom Cutter. He's the patriarch of the Cutter family. They're the O'Connors' rivals. Wonder what the hell he was doing here.
I don't know, but at least he got to keep his seat at the table.
Yeah, but not his head.
Hank, you notice a glimmer of gold within the neck cavity.
Lots of neck holes this Valentine's Day. Hank reaches in and pulls out what he can only assume is a coin.
And it is indeed, with the mare emblazoned across it.
The mayor!
Suddenly there's a low rumble, like something very large is shifting a floor beneath you.
Do you feel that? Something's moving down there. Fire lizard?
Only one way to find out. Hank pockets Tom Cutter's ID and the coin and heads downstairs with his gun out.
This door has also been blasted off the hinges, and the wooden steps are all but destroyed. Hank and Charlie have to sidle along the exterior of the stairwell, sticking to the edge where the wooden beams have yet to come off the walls. It's about an inch thick, so both are on their tiptoes. Both of you make an acrobatics check.
20.
14.
Charlie slips a bit as a board breaks.
Whoa!
Hank tries to grab his arm.
Roll an athletics check.
16.
Hank is able to support Charlie before he plunges down 15 feet to the ground.
Whoa!
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, sure, pal. Hank pulls him up towards the ledge again.
And the two descend effectively. Deep below in this cellar, giant casks of ale, the size of minivans, line the walls. Little stone pillars that are definitely load-bearing scatter the underground as well. And also, crates and crates filled with weaponry, each crate bearing the symbol of a Celtic cross on the side. The weapons look military grade, as if they were used in World War II. A little out of date, but definitely lethal and 100% illegal. Both of you make a perception check.
Botch.
13.
Charlie and Hank are distracted looking at their new surroundings, and they don't notice some shadows shift behind them in the darkness, moving off to the side.
Holy hell, that's a lot of firepower. Didn't seem to help the O'Connors none, though.
Whoa. Is this from the war?
Looks like it. Hank goes and inspects one of the boxes. These look like M1 Garands and Bar assault rifles.
Both of you make a history check.
Botch.
16. Hank stoops down and takes a closer look at the cross on the side of the crate. I think I've seen this cross tattooed on Cutter Boys before. I don't know why it would be in an O'Connor bar. Along with the big man himself. Maybe they were negotiating some sort of truce.
Or maybe the opposite. Hey, I don't feel that rumbling as much anymore. You think the fire lizard took off?
Hank's eyes go wide as he realizes he didn't check for it when he walked down the stairs.
Deep in the shadows of the cellar, a few 100 feet down, and beyond the reaches of Hank's dark vision, shadows roil up, down, left, and right. And then a little rumble is heard. Not from movement, but from vocal cords of some kind.
Yeah, I've never heard a fire lizard before, but I'd bet my hat that's probably what it sounds like.
And then slowly slithering out of the darkness, two great big yellow eyes become visible.
I'd take that bet.
Dark green scales begin to glow in the dim light cast by some of the small burning fires scattered throughout the basement. It's enormous. The head is easily the size of a car, and stretching out behind it are at least 20 feet of slithering, muscly body, legless, a little bit wet. The creature bears massive 12-inch long viper fangs, and you see that its tongue is a little bit less like a snake and more of that of a Komodo dragon, long and flickering, but missing the characteristic hiss. It rumbles at the two of you again.
Hank fires off a cold shot at one of the creature's yellow eyes. 10.
The enormous snake jerks out of the way and growls.
Hank ducks behind a pillar and hides.
Roll stealth check.
25.
Hank disappears into the shadow, leaving Charlie to face the beast head on.
Charlie takes off his glasses of disguise so as to not break them during the fight, and then rages. He grows a foot taller, his mass increases. Some of his rocks become more jagged and sharp, especially around his hands, to create a spiked knuckle effect. Charlie sprints forth towards the creature and wallops it twice in the nose.
Roll attacks.
12, 25.
One miss, one hit. Roll damage.
5.
The snake barely reacts.
As a bonus action, Charlie attempts to grapple one of the creature's fangs. Come here.
Roll a grapple check.
26.
The snake rolls a 14, and Charlie, with both hands, grasps the creature's long fang. It begins to jerk its head as hard as it can, but Charlie maintains his stance. Realizing that it is trapped, the big snake begins to jerk its head harder, trying to free itself. Roll another grapple check, Charlie.
13.
The creature rolls a 17 and easily pulls free. It then rears its long neck up and darts down in a viper strike. Charlie, his enhanced form nullifying a little bit of the damage, only takes 5 piercing damage as the creature's fangs just barely penetrate his thick rock carapace, taking him down to 91 points of health.
Hank fires a shot off at the creature from cover. 12.
The snake's weird movements make it very difficult to hit, and Hank once again goes wide. This time, the bullet impacts in a big cask, and a little bit of whiskey begins to pour out over the dirt.
Hank hides again. Nat 20.
Hank seamlessly disappears into the shadows.
Charlie, stunned a little bit from the viper attack, throws a big, reckless haymaker directly at the creature's face. 21.
Hit.
25.
The snake reels to the side as the impact causes its right eye to roll in its socket.
Charlie then punches again. 29.
Big hit.
10.
Yeah, sorry for the shiner there, pal.
The snake rears up one more time, shaking its head as if to clear the fog from the previous punch. Charlie, you see a little light in the back of its throat begin to illuminate, and Hank feels the air temperature change.
Hank?
And then the basement is filled with fire. Hank, make a dexterity save with advantage. Charlie, Make a dexterity save with disadvantage.
9.
18.
Hank, in his sheltered position, only takes 19 damage as some of the fire burns at his ankles and singes his eyebrows, taking him down to 38 points of health. Charlie takes 72 damage as the fire blast concusses his entire front paneling of rocks, bringing him down to 19 points of health. There are deep, deep cracks in his skin now, under which you can see a little bit of the rock turning to molten magma. Charlie struggles to stand up.
Oh, that really stung.
And then the snake is upon him and begins to slowly constrict him. Charlie, make a grapple check.
Botch.
Charlie takes 5 damage, bringing him down to 14 points of health, and the snake constricts him tightly, winding around him again and again before finally facing him, smoke billowing out of its hanging open jaws.
Think I could use a hand here?
Feet. Brat, kill! A heavy mist swirls around Hank's feet and shoots upward, teleporting him from his hiding spot behind the pillar to directly on the creature's back, gun leveled at its eye. He fires another called shot. 20.
Big hit.
24 damage.
The snake jerks violently, its eye exploding in its socket as the bullet penetrates. It immediately uncoils, releasing Charlie from its grasp,
Oh, that feels so much better.
and coils around itself, now facing Hank.
Chuck, get to cover.
Sorry, Hank. I gotta finish what I started. Okay, come on, big guy.
Slaps his face around a little bit.
You got this.
Charlie attempts to hammer fist the back of the creature's head. 18.
Hit.
Charlie then stomps on the creature's head. 13.
The snake's head crashes into the ground, and when Charlie goes to finish the snake with his big boot, the snake rolls out of the way. Roll damage.
18.
The snake sort of lilts off to one side as if it's beginning to lose its balance, having sustained quite a lot of damage from Charlie's massive swings. The snake goes to rear back once again. The light begins to flicker in its throat, and then fizzles into smoke. The snake is unable to relight its nightmarish fiery breath. The snake, realizing it's in trouble, tries to shake Hank off of its neck. Hank, roll a grapple check.
18.
The snake rolls 17. Hank stays on.
Whoa, 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 whoa!
The snake, exhausted, begins to turn tail, ignoring Hank clinging to its back, and it disappears into the shadows of the basement.
Wait, whoa! Hank, jump off! Using the undulation of the snake's back, Hank leaps up with both feet in the air and sticks onto the roof of the cellar.
Roll an acrobatics check.
20.
Hank deftly finds his footing on the ceiling.
He fires off again at the snake, hanging upside down. 17.
Hit.
7 damage.
A couple of scales explode off of the creature as the bullet impacts, but the snake doesn't react and continues to plow down through the basement, eventually stopping and coiling at the wall, where the grinding of stone can be heard. Hank, through the darkness, you can see that the snake is burrowing into the stone.
Charlie rushes over and attempts to stomp the creature to death before it gets away. 19.
Big hit.
Nat 20.
And another big hit.
52 damage.
The snake shudders for a moment. Its whole body quivers, and it weakly stops burrowing, slowly turning its head around. Once again, the creature's jaws begin to illuminate, and it tries to fill the basement with fire. And just when you think the flames are about to burst forth from the mouth, they fizzle once again, billowing smoke into the basement. The snake, now in a full-blown panic, one eye missing, randomly chooses one of the two to attack, and tries to trap Charlie in its jaws.
Oh, you must not like me, huh?
And two enormous fangs pierce into Charlie. Charlie takes 13 damage, bringing him down to 1 point of health.
Hank pops out from behind Charlie, jams his gun into the snake's mouth, and pulls the trigger. 15.
The snake's wild movements cause the bullet to miss its mark, deflecting off of one of its incredibly hard fangs.
All right, that's enough of this.
Charlie punches it right in the face. Twice. 23. 21.
2 hits.
25 damage.
With each impact, the snake jerks backwards until it looks like it's just wavering semi-conscious above Charlie. Its other eye skittering across the floor with the impact, knocked clean of the skull. Describe it.
Sayonara, Daddy-O.
Charlie grabs its jaws and pries them open until they snap.
With a thud, the big, muscly body of the snake crashes into the dirt.
What the hell?
It's a fire. Wait, hold on. It's a fire snake, not a fire lizard.
That's
I don't think we.
That's semantics at this
I don't
point,
think we
Chuck.
won the bet. Ow! Oh, Charlie looks down at his clothes. They've all been burned completely off.
Charlie stands a fully exposed rock golem.
Maybe I should put these back on. Looks more presentable. Charlie puts the glasses of disguise back on, making him look relatively normal.
Charlie appears clean and clothed.
Hank walks over and empties the rest of his revolver clip into the snake until it clicks.
Each bullet impacts in the meat of the snake, but then the snake body begins to shake a little bit.
Oh no.
And then, in a flash of light, the snake is gone. Both of you roll a perception check.
16.
Botch.
Hank, leaning down into the dirt, you see, reflecting firelight in a dancing pattern, a little bronze figurine of a snake coiled around itself. It's only about 2 inches big and feels like it weighs a little more than a half a pound. Pretty dense for its size.
Hank picks it up and examines it in the light. Huh. Well, Chuck, looks like we're taking this guy home with us.
Hit it, boys! Yeah, just like that. Watch your step when you step outside. The roads are narrow and the river's wide, and no one knows what waits inside. So watch your step when you step outside. And watch your step when the path is slick. The shadows here can play a dirty trick, and moonlight's such a fickle guide. So watch your step when you step outside. You want your freedom.
This has been a Hero Club production, produced by Nick Williams, George Primavera, and Jack Quaid, with associate producers Marty Abbe-Schneider and Dylan McCollum. Voice acting by George Primavera, Nick Williams, Jack Quaid, Natasha Krause, Dylan McCollum, Antony Starr, and Marty Abbe-Schneider. Theme song written and performed by Matthew McCollum. Special thanks to Kevin MacLeod and Ben Doyle for their amazing music, Mage Hand Press for their genius D&D 5th edition homebrew, and Marty Abbe-Schneider for his incredible artwork. And Ali Cantonese, our hero. Thanks for listening, and welcome to the club.
Watch your step, it's critical. You don't botch your step. Oh, watch your step when you step outside.
Oh! Jeez, Christo.
Now you all understand.
Wow, that was a burp. Wow. We all have to acknowledge. Hold on a second. You weren't lying.
That is on mic.
You were not lying. Were we rolling?
Whoa.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, put this in the show.
Whoa.